Good afternoon, everybody. I just like to mention that we're starting this meeting off by we'll be recording it for later. But welcome to our Small Business Week conversation of designing your social media strategy with Riley Foreman, CEO of Connect Media. If you can mute yourself during the presentation, if you're not speaking, it will help prevent any background noise on the call. We are also recording this conversation. We'll upload the conversation to our WC YouTube channel. Visit infinitewc.ca and you'll find all of our social links in the footer of our website. So, Connect Media is based out of Hope, BC, and was established in 2013 by CEO Riley Foreman. With a passion for the tourism industry, Connect Media operates exclusively within this market, specializing in content marketing, creation, and distribution, as well as project management and digital marketing strategies. Having many clients located within the Fraser Valley and Fraser Canyon, Connect Media has become the largest marketing agency serving the tourism industry in these regions and among the largest in the province. Riley will be discussing how a business can develop a social strategy and build effective creative engagement with your current and future customer. So welcome, Riley.
Thank you. We're going to talk about social media today. We're going to use the Sunflower Festival as kind of our base example, but let's jump into the presentation. And
Oh, we had it. Or it was your banking information, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. Is it up now?
It is. Yeah.
Do you see the website?
No, just see the PowerPoint layout like your, yeah.
Let's switch that screen. Okay.
Perfect.
That should do it. So I will, this is just the website. I'll bounce back to some of these examples of some stuff that's working. But first we'll just start off with the presentation. So I'm Riley Foreman. If anyone has questions too, you can feel free to give me an email or message us on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. Patrick, I think, is going to be adding this on to YouTube or something afterwards, so you'll be able to reference it if you like. I'm doing this presentation today, and I thought about what an example is. So I'm going to focus it around a sunflower festival. So this is one of our really exciting customers that we have, and it's very visual appealing, and it gives me the opportunity to actually give you a wide range of example of what's working. You're going to notice that, we have a very specific audience that we're going after when you're watching our marketing and stuff. And you're going to want to think about that and how that applies to you. You might be like, oh, that's weird in that because you see these models and girls standing in these sunflower fields and stuff like that. And how do I relate to that? But I don't think about it so much of what we're taking pictures of, but, what the functions are behind why we're doing it from an algorithm perspective and from the different functions like hashtags and such. So I'm going to kind of jump into that. So everything kind of around this is based around the theming of the Sunflower Festival and a little bit the Tulip Festival, because it's a spring and summer festival. It's the same business, same location. I'm going to kind of go over a few things, and some of the first stuff here, the branding visual guidelines, websites and blogs, online listings. These are, I'm not going to get heavy into this stuff, and if Patrick likes, we can, dive into another video call another time and talk about some of this stuff in more depth, or if there's other experts that are available. But, if you look at, the whole idea of doing a social media campaign, the first thing I always say is, how is this going to work in terms of how is a person going to go and take action on this? How does a consumer shop these days if they know about something and they want to Google it or what have you? A lot of people want to start a social media account and just say, oh, I'm going to put some pictures on there and get some get some people, purchasing what I have. But really, without the ecosystem, you don't really have you're not going to convert. So I mean, the first thing, and we're not going to go into it too heavy, but we talk about branding and visual guidelines and how that feeling and who you are and that consistency in who you are is going to build trust for your social media campaigns. So every time you do a campaign, you're building on that audience, you're building on that brand, and brand loyalty, and um, and that keeps giving back to you. So you want to first figure out kind of who you are. Branding isn't just the logo too. It's what your values are as a business. It's colors. It's a lot of things. And there's a lot of resources online too for really kind of self-discovering some of those things as well. And then it's the website and blog. The first thing, you're advertising yourself online. The first thing people do often is they're going to go on Google, or if they've heard about you a few times, if they're curious about what you're offering, they're going to go on Google. They're going to look you up, or they're going to follow your links to your social media accounts, and then they're going to make a decision on whether or not you're a reliable purchase, or they're going to commit their time or whatever this is based on how good your website is. So you really want to ensure that. And then the other aspect of that is also the blog. So one way that really integrates social media with the website world is creating really cool blogs. And I have some examples I'm going to show. Um, and then after that, of course, your online listing. So making sure your Google My Business is top notch, TripAdvisor, whatever online listings. If you're in a specific industry, there may be sector, profiles. There could be Chamber of Commerce, etc. Get all those listings up to date. Get your proper link. Make sure it's all connected. So when people are googling those up, they're going to be directed to you, and you're gonna continue that flow. Um, and then so account management. So that's a really important thing, and I'll kind of touch into that a little bit deeper right now. Um, is a lot of people will start different social media campaigns, or they'll hire someone, a new employee, and they're like, maybe the employee said, "Oh, you need to be on this Instagram or what have you," and so once you um, once you trust, someone's going to make this account, and all of a sudden, they get fired, or something comes up and they leave, whatever the case is, you don't have access to that account anymore, and that can cause a lot of problems for various reasons. An extreme issue is, social values are changing every day, so something that maybe was socially acceptable 5 and 10 years ago isn't going to be socially acceptable in 5 years. Your business could be called out for rogue content that you have floating around the internet that you control on your own Instagram. So you want to be able to actually have access to things, in case something comes up. But you also don't want all these random Instagram accounts floating around with your name. You want one Instagram account that's going to be your same Instagram account forever, and um, that way, you have consistency as well with that. And I mean, a whole list of other reasons. Um, and then the other thing is preventing fraud and people hacking into your account. So just a brief overview. And, if anyone wants to talk a bit more about this, or, Patrick knows a thing or two as well, but, you know, an overview of what I recommend is you start a Gmail account. That's the same Gmail account that you use for your different Google tools, maybe your Google Analytics for your website, your YouTube account potentially, if you have one, your Google My Business listing, your Gmail, Google Docs, all the things that you're going to use for your business related to that. And that's the Gmail for that Google account will also be the recovery for your social media accounts, your Facebook, your Instagrams, your Twitters that you create. And that's really important, setting up any kind of social media campaign. is really make sure that you have a central place where your password recovery is there and it's strong. And so your Gmail account will use maybe your actual company email, which you own that domain name, or and your phone numbers and your birth dates, etc., for a really robust kind of password recovery option in case anything were to happen. So that's a really good backup, and you always have a good ecosystem there. I won't touch much more into that, but that's a really good baseline of how you can set up a good system there. And set up complicated passwords too. Don't just, password 123 or something weird like that. Cap locks and all the different things. And then we're going to get into the presentation. We're going to talk a little bit more about content strategy, creation, and distribution, some ideas around that, community engagement, building that up, building your audience up, communicating with them, but building a relationship online that translates into relationship on location. And if you're an online operation too, then you're going to really rely on that online because that's really all you have. Um, and then analyzing strategy, looking at your statistics, looking at even individual posts, what's really popular, what's doing well, and trying to create moments like that over and over again. Find what your customers really like, and create ideas around that. And then and convert. So mainly is making sure that what are you trying to do when you're analyzing your content and you're creating a strategy? Is it converting? Are people buying? Maybe people thought something was funny or different things. How are you linking that around so that people are going to your website or booking a reservation or shopping online or looking up directions or whatever the different things that you want them to do? And then collaboration. We have some examples of that in the presentation here. It could be I focus on some industry collaboration, but something also not to forget about is partnering with other businesses in similar sector, or some way packaging your products with other people and other people with social media accounts that also have a strong audience, and you build that and you connect and you can kind of cross promote that way and really help build your audience, and value add and a lot of things that come with that. So, we kind of talked about branding a little bit. I don't want to get much into that, but we get into the marketing and PR. I just want overview with PR because PR is like another whole presentation, another whole game. But an aspect of it that does kind of come into social media and stuff. So, I mean, just a couple days ago, one of my clients, we released a blog for them that was kind of a service update about a particular hiking trail that is very popular right now that wasn't in the past. And immediately the press picked that up and it was all over the news. And so sometimes your actions on social media and on your website can earn you press. Um, but the other side of it is when you are earning press or have relationships with press where you're being covered and they're posting that content on the internet, is making sure that you leverage that back onto your social media. You're telling people about that. It's a good tool, but it's also builds relationship with marketing people. Next thing you know, you see another blogger or someone else, they see that and they want to feature you, and they build that up, and it becomes part of that, again, that ecosystem where website and PR and social media and all these things actually kind of live together. And collaboration, we talked a little about that. We'll talk a bit more about it, but that again, another example is collaborating with, and you got to be careful with this. And sometimes people make fun of it and stuff too. But partnering with the right social media influencer can actually benefit you. And sometimes they're only looking for, sometimes a free meal ticket, and if they got 10,000, 20,000 engaged followers, you're gonna make your losses on that likely if it's relative to who you are. So collaborating with even social influencers is something that can be very, very uh, successful. Conversion, just want to say that again. Make sure you're converting, and reporting, which is I actually recommend where you take your statistics down and you download them from your social media accounts and you actually report on them and you create monthly or quarterly or even yearly reports. How are we doing during these months? How do we do when we did this? Analyzing that, comparing it to sales, and going on. So just a couple examples, just the brand feeling, of the sunflower and tulip festivals. The big thing about the sunflower and tulip festivals is we want to appeal to uh, both young women that love to show themselves on Instagram and families and mothers. So this logo and this brand feeling kind of mixes a little bit of both of that. It's friendly, family friendly, but it also has a little bit of a kind of a funk to it. So that's kind of our goal there. Just a little overview and some of the things that we think about when we're doing our branding and working on to develop and strengthen our brand and our tone, um, and why we're doing that. So brand strength, that's trust. You have a strong brand and you display that online properly. It's trust. It's like going into a really nice hotel and all the details are just nice. You're enjoying that. That's a brand, so um, you want, like, a lot of people have their social media that have the logo all weird looking on their profile picture, but that's kind of like the sticker of who you are. So you want to have all that stuff going strong too. And then I think a big thing too is the idea of not you know if you know who you are, you can tell your story and you can be real, and people will actually trust what you're saying. So that's branding too, and bring that over, use those philosophies and put them into how you are coming up with your social media ideas. Um, so just kind of breeze through this. So yeah, another tip there: engaging with the social media, with the media online. You got cool new stuff, and sharing that with local influencers and stuff. Um, and the cost effectiveness too. Like, so if you're if you're just gonna go and buy a newspaper ad or radio ad, I hate to say it, I love to say it, um, bang for buck, there's just no comparison. So you're gonna reach a lot of people for a lot less. Um, Identify your touch points and story angles. That goes back into kind of some of the strategy that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a bit. Create meaningful, engaging on brand content. Staying consistent. I'm going to show some examples of that. Target your audience on the best fitting platforms. Um, Different businesses are going to do different things. If you're a small business, service-based business, you do electrician work or plumbing or something like that, you're probably not going to do well on Instagram. Um, Patrick and I were meeting about this the other day, and we had some laughs. But if there was a plumbing guy, say you're a plumber and you're super hilarious, and you did funny plumbing memes, you might find like your average person just thinks that's funny. You're going to build an audience around that, and locally, when someone needs a plumber, they might call you, maybe even to be featured on your Instagram account. But that's just like a really weird, kind of rare example of how maybe a plumber might be able to use Instagram. But where they might do better is creating cool, um, like nightmares where they show videos on their YouTube and their social media about like things they've discovered, that things were plumbed. This was plumbed so wrong. And this is how I fix it. And, build a trust and, because at the end of the day, someone's might be afraid, oh, what if they know how to fix it? They don't need me. Nobody wants to do that. They're gonna hire you. So you've actually shown them that you can do it, and now they're going to call you. And if they're going to do it themselves anyways, they're just going to look online and find videos like yours to do it themselves. So those are some of those opportunities where you can find that. Um, but from Pinterest to YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, those are some of the power players. You're going to want to pick, but for your average business, that's, maybe, like a retail or food and beverage or something in the tourism sector, at Facebook and Instagram is a really good place to start. Um, but you can look that up too, and we can answer some questions about that too when I mean, brands use TikTok, brands use Snapchat. There's all sorts of opportunities. Whenever you're doing kind of a social media campaign, and whether it's your overarching, like I'm doing social media, you want to have some brand hashtags that you associate with your business. So, let's just say you're a brewery and you wanted people to take pictures of you enjoying, in my area here in Chilliwack, there's LDL Brewing. A lot of people will hike up the mountain and take a picture of them having an LDL Brewing, and they'll use that hashtag, and then now that becomes part of that conversation. Now ODL Brewing can go on to that hashtag and engage with them. Oh, sweet hike, right on, cool, and however they want to communicate and what their brand tone is, and they're going to go on there and engage that. They're also going to feature those images. Peer-to-peer marketing is huge when people see, look at all these other cool hiking people. In BC, everyone hiking is like, everyone, with COVID as well. And, so, oh, what's this new trail? What's that going on? And so you kind of play into that, and then people kind of relate to you. And next thing you know, what are they doing? They're packing up a 6-pack of Old Yale up to the top of a mountain to take a picture of it and stick it on Instagram and tell their 600 friends that they just did that. Um, so the power of a hashtag can be, we did some numbers a few years ago, um, and I can't remember, specifically, but I think it was around 9 million impressions that Chilliwack, Share Chilliwack, which is the hashtag for the destination marketing organization Chilliwack, received that many impressions on that hashtag from other people using it. So it's a really organic way to spread the word and really get your name out there. And then also when you're using hashtags in Instagram in particular, really, you're going to use different hashtags to get people to see your content. You could use nearby cities. You don't get too spammy with that, but playing with that kind of stuff a little bit. Um, you know, if I just hashtag sunflowers, chances are there'd be someone in Australia that's just looking at sunflower pictures one day. Am I going to sell them tickets? No. Is it good maybe potentially for a little Instagram engagement? You can play with that a little bit, but try to stay focused on being relative to hashtags people are using that also might connect to people that might purchase from you. And then so content. So focus on the user generated content is it's just content. It's you get that content. Someone else spent, someone's at your restaurant and they spent 20 minutes taking a picture of that hamburger and it got cold, and they still paid for it. And now you have that free picture to use on your marketing. And that's kind of the reality. That's the reality of user generated content. Um, Patrick's got is connected in with CrowdRiff, which is a powerful tool. I was early adopter of this program, and it's a religion of mine. And looking at what you guys can do in your region to connect on that. And if you're on the call and you're in the tourism sector, working with your destination marketing organization to learn how you can be part of that wave as well, and ensuring that your content's being featured more and more and more. I hope that they dive into that a little bit deeper with their one, in terms of the tracking terms and how you can get into that console. And then maybe there's some tools that can be developed that can help connect you guys to actually obtain that content. There's some other tricks and stuff as well, for getting your content off the internet. We can talk about that. But yeah, use again, going back to that peer-to-peer marketing, people see, like, I'll use that brewery as an example. Here's this hip looking guy, dreadlocks. No, I don't know, but this hiker, West Coast looking dude, he's sitting on the mountain having this beer, and other people look at that and they kind of want to do that. And that's what's going to happen with this sunflower stuff. And you're going to see some of these pictures, and it works real well. And it's like huge amount of user generated content. So getting encouraging. So this is where touch points come in. So if you have a pizza restaurant, you could put your hashtag on your pizza box. Stick that hashtag everywhere. Say to people, I know a little coffee shop here in Hope that we were doing this thing for a few years back, few years, where if you use this hashtag Blue Moose Hope, it, with your Blue Moose mug, and these mugs traveled all over the world. The mug made it to Everest, and they were hashtagging it, and so I mean the exposure he got just with that mug thing. So get your hashtag out there and connect that in with contests and campaigns and promotions and whatever you're going to be doing as well. So diving a little deeper into Instagram. Again, brand feeling, we're going to show some examples. It's got to feel nice and it's got to feel consistent. Not a bunch of mumbo jumbo. If you really have it coming out together like that, Instagrammers, are going to trust what you're doing, and because it's just a subconscious feeling. The quality comes through with that as well. Talk about the feed. So a few things. So when you're posting on Instagram, the picture looks one way when it's on your feed, when you're scrolling through. But then if you go to someone's profile, it's showing all these pictures. How does that look as a palette? When someone goes to your profile, that's really kind of gives a strong message as well. And then your post formatting. I'll pull up some examples. Um, it's a little bit harder to show. I've got some stuff here. I should have actually screenshotted some other deeper examples, but you can also just go on a lot of when you're actually looking at it on the app from your phone and looking at some of these Instagram accounts. You'll see how we put the comment in, how we tag people, where the hashtags are, and in order that feels clean and people actually kind of look through and read that and not overwhelmed with it, so that they keep wanting to consume your content. Um, and so Instagram stories, um, you know, won't dive too much into it, but it's huge and people are using it big time. A lot of people don't even really um, consume Instagram feed as much anymore. They're just flicking through stories, checking that out while they're having their morning coffee or whatever. Or sometimes all day long, people are, addicted to their phones. So, and IGTV, and talking about that, some video sizes, we'll show some examples. We don't get much into it, but that's a version of how YouTube distributes videos. Um, any kind of format. It's really good for vertical video, but they've added an option where you can have like a widescreen video, flip your phone and press the expand button and kind of get that widescreen experience on a phone. And it's a powerful way to distribute video messaging on Instagram. Um, there's a lot of other aspects of to that, building an audience and actually committing to that. But and that goes into sizes. So the various sizes of content, both video and photos, and I'll show some examples here next. But it's very interesting when you kind of look at it from this lens here of the various sizes of what your content is going to look like. So this is the first feeling you get of actually what what the photo messaging is happening here for the Sunflower Festival. So what do you see? You see young women um, modeling in at the fields, um, and tens of thousands, close to 100,000 people come out in a month's time because they see the stuff on the internet and they all want to do the same thing. And so what we do here is, I'll just give you that overview because, some people might come on this and be like a little bit like, whoa, that's extreme. But again, think about that with a lens of what kind of content you're going to want and who you're speaking to. Some businesses their customers might look at this and just roll their eyes. Um, so there's a wide range there. Instagram has a lot of space for this kind of thing. But I want to draw your attention to the three different sizes here. So on the left-hand side, you have a portrait style image, which is Instagram portrait, which is kind of a taller looking image. Then you have in the middle something that's a little closer to the square. This one actually I think is square. Um, and then you have a landscape image on the right hand side. And so when you're on a phone and if you're posting images that are portrait, you're going to get, like, if you're going to buy an ad on a newspaper, you're going to want the quarter page ad or the full page ad. And the portrait image really actually pops more. So when people are doing the thumb scrolling thing, um, think about the fact that the picture on the left is going to, the portrait picture is going to pop. Um, and then Um, just a little brief example, we got the Instagram stories. So on the bottom here, you see these story reels where you can kind of click on and watch little promotions and different things. And that's kind of how we dress that up in a way that feels on brand and stuff. And then you'll see kind of for this account, what we've done is we've created like, oh, this is who we are in a fun sort of way. Then with our hashtag, of course, website call to action as well. Um, and be careful who you follow. Um, don't do the follow for follow. Try to follow a whole bunch of people so you follow you back. Um, follow people that are relative to you. And be careful too. If you find yourself following controversial people, that could become a problem for you too. Um, so this is just a screenshot of the Instagram feed for the Sunflower Festival. And you can see that the images have a similar tone and feeling. The ones on the bottom right are a little bit brighter, and we try not to slip too many of those in. We want that darker, moodier feeling. We have a lot of clouds in BC. There's a good chance it could be a rainy day. So we want to kind of lower that visual expectation in a way people don't even know their expectation's been lowered because it's still like, whoa, what's going on here? And also create a feeling that, like, again, people, subconsciously, I'm just gonna say, people look at the picture on the middle left, you see this young couple and they are happy. And so who doesn't want that? So there's men and women alike that see that picture, they're like, I have to take my girlfriend to the Sunflower Festival, or vice versa, or my man's going to take me here, or however that dynamic works. That's a real thing that people put themselves in and they want. The one on the top, on the middle, the child, every mom wants the cutest picture of their child like that, and they want it on their Instagram account too. And they're gonna use your hashtag, and that goes back to what I said earlier. And I think almost all of these, uh, Well, no, about half of these images are UGC, user generated content, stuff that we found on the internet that people took. Um, and so that's a little bit of an idea of, again, that feeling. So some of our collaborations that we do with the Sunflower Festival and the Tulip Festival, we work obviously with the provincial Destination BC, which is the industry kind of group for that industry in British Columbia for tourism. Circle Farm Tour, which is kind of with the Fraser Valley, actually a couple points down, which is just local tourism consortiums, which bring a package of products together and market that. British Columbia is a very, very advanced destination marketing system, probably in terms of community based, small industry, grassroots. It's probably the most elaborate in the world. Then but beyond that, you start getting into the major power destinations like Florida and stuff, and Vegas, which played on a whole different game. But you see how the Fraser Valley, BC Route 7, some of these groups, the Hope Cascades and Canyons group kind of work and the marketing power that does for small businesses. So building those in your communities and collaborating with those um, are real. I mean, that's the way to kind of do it. And there is like in other sectors, there's industry associations, hopefully get involved with those and find out how you guys can work together to strengthen the trust of your industry in your area to do anything you can and to use social media to obtain some of those goals. Gardens BC is a garden tourism group that is part of the international garden tourism. And so we did a conference last year. It was gardens from all over the world, um, and like Turkey, like really, actually, you would never really realize how much of a industry garden tourism is on a global scale. Um, but it was so neat to get that experience. But on the other side, in BC, there's that small group that says, okay, Bouchard Gardens, whatever these different garden destinations are, and there's a number of them, come together and they promote that. And there's a market of people, and I'll just be honest with you, if I targeted older people, older women in particular, that I would get a great success of click-throughs on that kind of product. So that kind of ties in some whole new audiences as well. And then collaborating with the media, on the level of the Sunflower Festival, we pay for PR and everything like this. So we're bringing in tons of press. We're giving them, we take, we close the festival off the day before it opens and has a big press only event, and they get flowers to bring home and local cheese and all this stuff. And so that's on a massive scale. But what can you do on a smaller scale to collaborate with media, influencers, online bloggers, different things to get that social, the SEO, the search engine optimization, everything out there connected to your social media, connected to your websites, part of that ecosystem. And regional DMOs, which are kind of brought up, and that's just Fraser Valley Group, Circle Farm, BC Route 7. These are all different ones that in this region that we're collaborating with. And so just a quick overview on how we're converting. We're using our website to convert with get people on our website to get them to an online ticket sales. We're using SEO because Google is #1 traffic driver to websites. And we're doing online promotions, all the social media stuff that we're talking about. We have clear call to actions on that to get people to that spot where they're going to book, where they're going to go to their tickets, where they're going to make a reservation or get directions or whatever that call to action is. There's a path, and there's a path that's intentional that builds that story that gets them excited, however that works with your product. Um, It's mobile optimized because chances are that these days 60 to 80 or even more percent of your website traffic is coming off of a mobile device. And if it doesn't work very good on it, you'll lose them. They're done. They're not your customer. Um, and then the driving traffic, putting all that stuff comes together. A lot of that is driving traffic, and just continue to do that. Drive traffic to those call to actions. A little bit of overview on measuring your success. Facebook has, in your Pages Manager, there's some insight tools. You can download those as spreadsheets, and you can put those into charts, and you can compare them with stuff too, like your website traffic and things, on Excel or whatever. And then so Google Analytics, the same thing. You can download that, but it's also both of these tools. A lot of these tools have really cool web-based interfaces where you can look month by month. You can look at what's really hot, and take note, sometimes just mentally. It's nice to record it and look at it, but sometimes just reviewing it once in a while, get a feeling is also helpful. Twitter analytics. We didn't talk about much about Twitter. There's a very few, you know, there's not a lot of businesses where Twitter is, too applicable in terms of a content distribution and building a thing. But if someone has questions about that, we can jump into it. It's a very political environment these days. A lot of industry and stuff like that. Business to business, a little bit in terms of some stuff, but corporate. But um, YouTube analytics again is really cool. If you're doing a lot of video, both Facebook and YouTube have some cool tools. You find out how many people watched, how much percent of your videos, where they watched, where they left the video, and you can analyze that. Hootsuite, Owly, ClickStats, like a lot of other services where you can do URL shortening services and redirect services and track those domains. So if you're doing a campaign, you can use one of these services to track various links that you're setting up, and as a backup, as to the data that Facebook's providing you, the data that your Google Analytics provides you, and your Hootsuite as well. And Iconosquare is awesome. It's a really good tool. You have to pay a few bucks a month, and you get incredible data on your Instagram that you can't get unless you have like one of these third-party apps. I think there's some others. That's one we use, and we're very happy with it. Um, so just a little bit of an overview for what the Sunflower Festival. Um, so this is May 1st to September 20th of 2019. Um, so basically for their leading up to their festival marketing and during the festival, their content produced 5.8 million impressions on Facebook alone, on their Facebook account alone, not including all the media, everything else. Impressions on their Instagram, 2.3 million. If you add up that and then all the buzz that we create on top of that, you're looking to the hundreds of millions of impressions every year on people talking about sunflower fields in Chilliwack, and it goes global. People will look at these pictures and they, maybe never come, but a lot of eyes on that. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of the power in that. I have permission from the client to share those numbers. She's a farmer and she does not care. um, Video marketing. So we talked a bit about the sizes of. We showed those photos. There's examples with video sizes as well. Um, there is user generated content. We talked about that. Oh yeah, tying that over to video marketing. User generated content is also good for videos. It's a little harder unless you have CrowdRiff or some tools like that. But you can also contact them and say, "Hey, I love that video. Can you send that to me? Post that onto your own social media." And you're getting that. The video sizes for the content is like, very similar stuff with the photos we showed you, but every platform has different opportunities. So creating vertical video content these days it makes a lot of sense. Even on Facebook, certainly on Instagram. And even on YouTube too. YouTube, you're going to have a lot of landscape. You can do a lot of different things on there. But um, and then the live videos, you're going to have an opportunity to um, create buzz of something that's happening right now. And people will tune into that. You can say that people can watch it later. But if it's something really kind of exciting, you're going to find that uh, you can get a lot of buzz off a live video. So video marketing in 2020 and beyond, I think the big thing is creating video content that's mobile, so vertical and a kind of Instagram portrait style images, videos that will people will be watching that. You get that full screen experience. People don't have to flip their phone around. More and more of that's being consumed on the internet, on websites are being designed, stuff like that. And so thinking about that in your video marketing plan is is what you want to
Hey,
do. Here's a
Riley,
couple of
Riley.
examples. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just getting up to about 2 o'clock local time here. So I just want to check, and if anybody's got to jump at 2 o'clock, I'm just wondering if we could see if we can pull some questions for you, if anybody has any, and then we'll continue after that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anybody out there have any questions for Riley? Unless you want to wait till the end and you're going to stick around.
Riley did a great job. Thank you so much.
Oh, he's still going, but yeah, we just want to catch and make sure.
Yeah, there's we're getting to the tail end here too, so um we'll be there shortly for anyone that is sticking around a little longer. So I'll just carry on and Patrick, if someone has something, feel free to jump in again. Just showing again these videos here, the different sizes. Now, if you're on a phone, this one on the left, this vertical video that's going to show up for whole phone. Um, and it's just a more immersive experience. And then just want to give you a little feel of what that widescreen is looking like. The same video, you saw those different those vertical squares and portraits, and then you kind of go over to this widescreen look, which is can be very powerful too. And then yeah, I just use these videos as an example of this is not um, showing video of the beautiful sunflower fields. This is that brand building stuff. People understand, well, this is the aspect around it. These are some of the things they start to build a relationship. They understand you more and they're connected to you more. So we have different videos. That's planting the bulbs. I think we have this is bulb digging. And so just those are ideas how we've done something that in the off season to kind of keep that relationship building and learning and understanding. So a quick overview on everything that we kind of talked about in put into a campaign here um, is, again, so whenever you're building a social media campaign and stuff like that, make sure you have an online way for people to fall through your website, a landing page, a blog to convert that with all the clear objectives that you need. Could just be a button, a directions button, but what is it? Um, come up with a message and objective. What's this campaign about? What do I want to do? And what are some ideas I can do? You can Google and find, and on YouTube as well, find a lot of cool ideas for how to kind of take, oh, I want to do this or that, or get more people to come to my restaurant. Different promotions and ideas, different cool restaurants you can find and see how they put social media together and the different pictures and the things to attract people to come. So get those ideas, make a content plan, create that content, and put it out, distribute it, get that going. And so you're gonna, in your content plan, you're gonna say, okay, this campaign, we're gonna build 3 blogs. One's gonna be like why eat at my restaurant. The other one's gonna be like, crazy ingredients that we source for our restaurant. The other one's gonna be like the history of the building that we're located in. Whatever these little tidbits are. And then you're going to have photos to tell those stories. You're going to maybe have some videos. Maybe you want to do a live one day because the historian's going to come in and tell you about the history of that. You build that up, you plan it all out, and then you distribute it on a schedule and an idea of how you're going to want to do that within a nice period of time so people can continue to fall through, understand what you're doing. And then again, go back, analyze, optimize, do similar things, try new things, and do it again. And I'm just going to give credit to the Sunflowers and the Tulip Festivals for, letting us use all their information. And again, you can feel free to contact me if you have any questions. And I'm going to go back to my screen here. Am I back?
You're back.
All right. I'm gonna just quickly switch back again here. Just gonna go back and show. Oh, that's the couple. This is the website for the Sunflower Festival. Tickets. You're gonna go through here and get directions. Everything's presented in a call to action format,
I recognize the crowd riff banner there too.
Yes, thank you. This is a crowd riff gallery, and people can click on and see their posts and see what they. If anyone needs me, I'll spend the last summer in the rows of sunflowers with this sweet girl. So she's telling everyone on her Instagram that the rest of the summer, from August 18th onwards, this is where she's going to be. So I mean, we know but that's the power in that. And who doesn't love some corn on the cob? That's the daughter of the owner. And yeah, so that's really powerful. And we just bring that into the crowd gallery, which is really handy, very easy, very fast, efficient way to do it. And also with the rights acquisition and stuff like that, it's nice too. And then going over to just to give you a quick feel, they got a YouTube channel. Again, these feelings of what they are come through. And there, going to see the numbers you're going to get elsewhere. But at least when we're doing like a blog or something and we want to embed a video, we have it from our channel. If they click through, they can go to a little brand node and it's the same thing. It's trustworthy. And they're going to go back to the Chilliwack Sunflower Festival link and buy tickets and just keep looping people around. What's happening here? So this is their Instagram account. Really cool idea here of how we did a 3 wide Instagram post. It looks a lot cleaner on the phone, which is virtually all the Instagram consumption's done on the phone. I've got the desktop version here for switch to look at, but you can check that out on the phone as well. And then again, looking into the thing, again, same thing you're seeing. There's a cat. That one's people love that one. That was people love the animals and the. You can put an animal or a dog in your post. Sometimes that will work. This is our Facebook page. It'll show you the difference between some of that same content. This is just the comments. We put this, see you next season. Everyone's sharing their pictures. You know, a lot of this is the user-generated content that we don't feature because it's not the same. It doesn't look like, this fancy stuff that we dig up. But this is great, and this is relationship building. And we message back all the stuff, and you can see this perfect example right there of the conversion in action. This chick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times heart eyes. She loved it. And that's, we've built a real relationship there too. I mean, selling this is, I mean, look at this picture here. I mean, you get it. People can really get, they love that. But here's an example of where formatting your albums on Facebook, and if you're posting multiple pictures, if your first image is a vertical or like some sort of portrait style, size-wise, and the rest are different size, you place that one first and it'll show up like this. But if you post a landscape first, it'll show up with a wider one. And it'll also, again, it'll show up differently on a mobile device versus a computer. So playing around with that can really drive people's eyes when they're scrolling through this to make them want to see and click and be engaged with what you're telling them. Just a little example of just another Instagram account. This one's really short. Where fresh come from? Where fresh comes from? Township of Langley. Langley is a big farmer community, big wine industry there as well. A lot of agriculture, tourism, and just and food. Um, so that's kind of just a bit of a feeling there of what we've got going on. We're using the Instagram stories to tell things and to promote various sectors and itineraries. And again, we're following. You'll see with this one in the Fraser Valley region, everyone goes for a little bit more moodier of a feel, and it's strategic that way. But you'll see here, it's a little bit more lifestyle magazine-esque when you look at what Langley is doing for an overall feeling of this. But you're not going to see the models, and it's actually important to us that we don't on this account that we don't post. We try to avoid posting posed things that are posed. We want it to feel more candid. This is posed, and we don't want too much of that. This but a little bit of that can be fun. And then just an example of a fun giveaway that we did last year, and you think of some fun ideas like this, but this lodge, which it's just a little mom and pa operation, believe it or not, and they have this cute little lodge, and they do really well with it. It's nice, but for years we've just kind of helped them with their social media a little bit on the side, but it's a very small budget. And you can see what you can do with a little, and you can do a lot. So we've always done good with them. They've got fair, decent amount of conversion from their Facebook and Instagram content and ads and campaigns. But earlier this year, when COVID came and kind of locked everything down, as things were kind of coming back, we did a contest where you could win before our actual official opening date. We said, you're going to have this whole resort to yourself. Now, of course, it's like you had your own chef for the weekend, you had your own captain of boats, you had your own jet skis. Like, yeah, I can see that. Like that was a huge prize, and it's a really good idea. But you could be a restaurant, you could be a plumber and be like, I will plumb you a new bathroom. And if you do it right and you plan it, you don't want to do a huge prize and not plan it right, and you have to give that prize out and you didn't get anything from it. But if you plan it right, you can, and their demographic, I mean, it was you just going to the resort this summer and you saw that how much younger their audience got overnight. But it was very clear in the statistics. But young women fell in love with West Coast Widows Lodge this spring from this one contest. Um, it was 19,200 entries, and we gained about 8,000 followers on Instagram from that. And this was I see if I don't know how this the comments.
Hey, Riley, where was that again?
This is on the. This is in Egmont, BC. It's on the Sunshine Coast. It's called the
Wow,
West Coast Wilderness Lodge.
I like it.
So Patrick's actually been here. We had a staff retreat here, and Patrick came out. Um, but here's a neat thing, you know. So just for example, this guy, I love these guys, and I've known them in the industry for years and years. I half of my work I do with them, I just trade them for a, a staff conference every year. So a business could do the same thing with a photographer. You know, there is people that will work if they find value in what you can give back to them. I certainly find value in bringing my staff to this higher end resort for a week. And you know, I wouldn't be able to afford to do it to that extent ever. So there's some that goes back again to that collaboration. That was so successful. We did a round a couple day a week and a half later, um, and the day before that was supposed to go out was when uh, Blackout Tuesday was with the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's a highly controversial subject matter, and I'm not going to go into that specifically. But if you're a business, you want to tread carefully in these situations. And so we made this decision. This is just a perfect example of being in tune with what's going on in the world, and people respect you more because we just kind of left that be. We didn't post anything that we knew what we were talking about. We just said, today's not the good day. If we would have posted that contest that day, we would have had nonstop bad reviews on our internet. So this just gives you a little idea of how we dealt with that. People loved it. We got emails with people that the owners got phone calls saying like, I cried when I saw that. People are very emotionally charged these days to their values. That's you got to be careful with that. Even if your values are different, whatever that is, the internet is a global community. And so, and the next day we the later on we didn't post after that. We gave social media a little bit of breather while the world kind of sorted that out for a little while there. Then we came back, we did the giveaway. It did very well. Again, 13.9, a little bit less than the first time, but you know, that can be understood a little bit too. Um, and yeah, so at the end of the day, this little small thing, they had no Instagram following, got 9,000 following, and hundreds of people came as a result. And when you're spending $1,000 or $2,000 per, you know, you can see how that paid off real quick. That's just a couple little examples there. Just quick look overview. This is the Google listings. Patrick has a Google My Business listing uh, seminar as well, and I think he does those regularly. I think this is what happens when you do that properly. People can find out everything they need to know, and people trust it. And this is also an example on the left of the Google result for the Sunflower Festival where it shows the sublinks and people can go straight to it. So if you're set up really well, you know, you're gonna lower your chance of losing a customer because everything is just fine tuned. Um, and that is everything I can have to show you guys. Um, and yeah, if there's any questions, am I back? I'm back.
You're back. You're back. It's all good. I can hear me though on your speaker.
Oh,
Uh-oh. We tested this too.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Um yeah, so is anybody in this collab they have any questions? Okay. I did write down a few, Riley. So
Well, give
just
me
one.
something good. I like to be challenged. Give me a hard question.
Go,
Okay.
Patrick. Go, Patrick.
Well, it's a foundational question. So, um I wrote it thinking, well, if he doesn't talk about it, I'll make sure that he does. So the golden rule situation. Should you ever delete an undesirable comment within a post? And if not, what should you do?
Okay, big one. Um, you know, first and foremost, protect yourself. We're working with industry right now on this. Had been conversations all week about this one topic in particular. I recommend, first of all, you put on your website what your values are in terms of things. We don't allow hate speech, etc. Um, and like, if these are going to be really important to you, have it somewhere first. It could be a tiny link on the bottom of your website that just says our inclusivity statement or whatever it is. Um, I'm working on some stuff that I think that would be very helpful for businesses. Patrick, I'll pass it on to you, and we can see about sharing some of these ideas. Um, um, that's going to prevent that's going to allow you to say, okay, this is what we do delete and what we don't, and you can refer back to this as to why. Um, and so if someone's posting on your social media account and it's hateful, or it's not appropriate for children, um, etc., then I would say you need to delete it. Um, you if you really need to, if transparency is really important to you, you can follow up with a comment that says, we've recently deleted a post that dealt with subject matter that we didn't feel that was appropriate for all of our viewers on this platform. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to email such and such, and have that set up that way. And then as far as other things go, sometimes when it's tough questions, it's kind of like embarrassing. Like, I was at your restaurant the other day, and a mouse ran out, and that's a hard one. But what will happen is, if you delete those comments, it'll backfire, and they will get 100 of their friends, and they will swarm the TripAdvisor. Um, it's something like that where it's you're a restaurant and it's a mouse. Like, that could ruin you. So you're gonna want to say, uh, "We've sent you a private message," and you're gonna want to say, "Hey, thank you so much for reaching out. Actually, we're so embarrassed this happened. We've never had this issue before. Um, we're gonna do this, this, and this. If you'd like, you can come down. I can send you a report from our pest control. Anything that I can do to assure you that we're taking care of this measure." Not so much, and even insisting that they delete the comment. You're coming out to them like, "We want you to trust us, forgive us." And then they're going to probably delete that comment if you're effective in making. If not, bury it. Post a lot that week, right? And get that out of there. A few weeks down the road, you can delete the post in whole, potentially, but be careful, because if it comes back at you, especially if it has to do with racism or anything that to do with kind of just people's value systems that way, especially new age stuff that's really hypersensitive right now, you delete that, and they're coming for you, and you got to be really careful. And even sometimes we agree with that person, but we're afraid to make a disruption on our social media, so we delete it, and it backfire, if someone does that. So approach it, thanks for messaging us. We have some information. Can you call me? Something like that.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else?
No, I think that's pretty straightforward because Riley, I look for, and anybody has 2 perfect Google reviews, you kind of wonder what's happened, right? So that's be some good and bad, and how they deal with it definitely goes a long ways to whether I go there or not. So I commend you. Yeah, I don't like deleted posts because you have no idea what the background is. You have to deal with it and move on, right? You can't be just perfect all the time, all the time. So, but thanks for the question, Patrick. That's awesome.
Yep, no problem.
Years ago, Fernie, BC, there's a restaurant that had a staff employee. It's not the owner; it was an employee of theirs, and they allegedly there was a situation where they were either being racist or perceived to being racist. It blew up on social media and it destroyed people's lives. It was really sad story in terms of the business went under. It was there's hate message threats, all sorts of stuff. A restaurant locally here had a similar situation. I know the values owners, and they called me. They're like, someone did this and such, and we got to the bottom of it and we nipped it in the butt right away. But it was just at that boiling point, and you got to get in there right away and just being like, we're reviewing this right now. Please stand by. Give us a call. We'd like to hear back from you. This is not our values. If we're finding everything we need to find out about it, that alone will cool off the big, huge swell.
Yeah. So, another question. I'm just wondering if you can, uh, because there's one thing that I try to sort of emphasize around here, especially for small businesses. Do you have a kind of a good example where you've worked with bloggers, social influencers on content creation, that kind of thing in your in with one of your clients?
Yeah, like we do a lot of PR work. A big chunk of that is where you work with the press and influencers, bloggers, whatever. They come out, you host them, and they're going to tell their audience about you. And that's their content. You can leverage those links on your social media and stuff like that. So typically, we wouldn't bring them in to create content for us. But occasionally, in an example of Blurred Creative, which is a group of young influencers, there's 6 of them, and they are a group of photographer, videographers, and models and editors, and they come together and they make really cool content that appeals to this young female millennial. And so my arrangement with them is I hire them. I say, okay, here's $5,000. You're gonna make a whole bunch of pictures for me. You're gonna make me all these cool videos, and we're gonna use them on our social media. But you're also gonna be posting all the stuff onto your accounts, and they have these large influential accounts too, collectively maybe 100 or 1,000 so followers on their Instagram accounts. So then I'm getting that double whammy. I'm getting content from them, and I'm also getting their audience at the same time. And when their audience are coming over and they're seeing the people that they're fans of and they love, they're like, oh, cool, like I know these people and they're here. And I mean, it's just instant.
Okay. Well, now I have another one that I think will be addressed in a later session this week. But um, it's funny because I know how you're going to answer this, but I just want to hear it from you. But in the case of the West Coast Wilderness Lodge, there there seems to be and I think you've put effort into this, but there seems to be a way that when you're dealing with the experience, like you're on the ground there as a visitor, that there almost seems to be a similar um, sort of message that comes from their staff as you would see in their social content. So it's you're reading about you're reading posts and all that other stuff, but when you get down and you're on the boat or whatever, that there's almost a dialogue with staff that's very similar to the 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 experience you got online before you even landed there, that carry through.
I can see that a little bit. Various, I think the important thing is consistency between your online experience and who you are. if you're on, like, I mean, one example is if you're online and you're all this and you get there and someone can't have that experience, that it's, um, so, I mean, it's a trust thing, right? I think that, for the West Coast Royal Sludge, again, it's quite a low budget thing. So for you to be feeling experience these things from that, it comes out as, um, pairing the right person with doing your social media, so that whoever they're doing is that they align and they connect with the owners, or however that ship sails.
Hmm.
That's got to be shared vision with the people who are communicating on your behalf. Um,
Like the brand, because
yes, so the staff,
everybody's
we're
tagged to the
fortunate.
brand.
We go up and we spend all this time up there hanging out in the woods for our staff time, and the owners are, we get so much time with them in a very relaxed setting that we feel like we know them, and that might come. You see that coming out in some of that content for sure.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions for Riley? Wendy, you got one. I know you got one. You're on mute.
No, I don't have any. I can't think of anything.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
a big, I know I'm not a big Instagram user, so yeah, I'm just kind of taking this all in.
Cool. Yes, Tracy.
So when you're getting to Instagram, Riley, so I have to apologize. I know I have to get into it eventually, but I don't want to get into it and then just kind of drop off. So someone getting into it, you have to be consistent, what, weekly, or what is your recommendation just getting started? Because I would love to be able to drop, $5,000 here and there and get this done. But realistically, just starting out as a business, because I'm understanding now that everything is Instagram. So what's your recommendation?
Yeah, and so I still think Facebook is still a power player and still very important. If you look on those stats in 2019, we still got more impressions on Facebook. The power of those impressions on Instagram were more culturally influential, which probably brought a lot more, attention to even what the Instagram for the Facebook was. So there's kind of an aspect to that. But in terms of volume, we've been changing. I've always been a preacher of high volume. Create lots of content and keep it coming out. And the algorithms do like that. If you can create lots of really top-notch content and you're always on your game and you can do a lot of it, you're going to do very, very well on Instagram. If you can't do that, um, if you can do 2 good posts a week, um, like where we're at now with Instagram is you'd be better off to do 2 good posts a week than to do 5, 6, 7 mediocre posts a week.
And then what do you gauge as good content? Like, because it can't be too long, it can't be too short. I don't have a videographer on staff because that'd be phenomenal. But what would be good content?
Um, it really it depends on the sector. Like, okay, so first thing I do is I say who am I reaching to, um, and what do I want them to do? And so if they, may I ask what the sector would be?
Wow, I have a couple of them. I'm more interested in doing the Instagram for my international business. So I'm launching um, functional English camps over the summertime. My other job is massage therapy and home care, which really you really can't photograph. Or
Yeah. Well, you you get in Vancouver, you get any model will come out, and you would be you'd be in there like swimwear. As far as the English camps, that's like where people can come learn English at a
yeah,
camp.
basically, 'cause I know it's they're very visual, right? So I'm just looking at have photos of past students that have been at our house. I'm just trying to engage them that way because that's the young culture. That's what they look at, right? To share with their friends, and that's probably easier to share than Facebook because it's worldwide then, right? So yeah, you can cover multiple nationalities and cultures, I think, right?
I got a really fun idea for you, just right off the bat, just to kind of get your mind in a direction here. But so one concept that's commonly used in the tourism sector is called guestagramming. So now imagine your students took control of your Instagram stories, and they had to do it in English, or they had to, but it was fun, and they're telling the stories of their fun experiences too, bringing that together and tagging and stuff. And so what's going to happen is all their friends on Instagram are going to potentially follow you. Their families certainly will. Their mom will. And so you're going to get those trickling in. But those are your shared audience. So the students are coming from where?
They'll be coming from, we have some that were from Japan primarily, a couple from China. I'm going to piggyback on the ones that have been here before and kind of use them a little bit. Because with COVID and stuff, everything is recoming again, right? So,
You know, like I might say stuff like, yeah, like get the students involved and be like, listen, like I want you to do some of these Instagram stories where you do the, but you know, these students are probably going to have a really advanced understanding of their phone and how to use it to make cool stuff. And imagine they could say like, I'm going to do today you guys are going to make a video about this. And it's coming from the perspective of you. You're here to learn English. You're this, and this. But today we're going go kart. It could be go karting, right? You don't like. And the funny thing is that they might even have GoPro. Like they might even have half the stuff in their little toolkit. So playing with what these students have, the skills they have to do fun storytelling on your social media, and encouraging them to get their friends and family to follow, and they can follow along. And you'll notice too, and maybe you allow a little bit where they can use Japanese in their posts so they can communicate with people at home who can. And and you'll notice too, like down the road, like a year from now, they'll be watching a news student. They'll be like, "Oh my God, I remember when we did that." Oh, that's, and it's building that relationship.
awesome. Thank you so much. That's just top of your head. I'm scared. You're more dangerous than Patrick.
My head moves too quickly. It's crazy.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Riley.
No problem.
Awesome. How about you, Lori? Any questions for Riley? Okay. Awesome. Let's see. So along the lines of what you brought up earlier, Riley, with CrowdRiff, just to let everybody on the call know, is that we have CrowdRiff doing a session with us Thursday morning at 9. You can go to the infinitewc.ca website and register for that. Who knows? Maybe Riley will be in the room, although it's 8 o'clock in BC for that call. Yeah, Riley is the one who got me exposed to CrowdRiff, and he was really trying to make sure that we were trying to get that subscription in Hope back in the day, and now they do. So there's a lot for me to learn because I don't have Riley at my doorstep to ask him questions on what to do all the time anymore. But yeah, I kind of missed that. But yeah, so catching that session this Thursday would be great, just to tie in what Riley's talked about and introducing that into the CrowdRiff session. So it's kind of like the part 2 of Riley's introduction to it. And yeah, the Infinite WC, we do have a subscription with CrowdRiff. We do have a similar type of banner that or gallery that was on the Sunflower Festival page on the Infinite WC page as well. I got to work on it quite a bit, so it's going to be informative for me too on Thursday. But if no one else has any questions for Riley, um, yeah, thanks Riley, because volunteering your time to share messages with us here, I super appreciate it. And thank you for opening yourself up to questions off this call for people who are on the call at a later date. I appreciate that too. And yeah, so thanks again, and thank you everyone for attending. And I hope Riley's just filled your head with a bunch of like, oh wow, what can I do? And you got some answers starting to flow and come out of that. It's kind of funny because we did a Grow with Google session prior to this call, and there's a lot of things that you were talking about with identifying your users and the empathy of your user, and then being able to, once you identify that, then your message and your tone gets a lot more connected to them, and building those connections is a big deal. So yeah, you you totally you totally answered all the stuff I put out in Google 2 hours ago. So yeah, you definitely, yeah, you're connecting the dots just like you do, just natural. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it, and we're creating a history ourselves and become a friend through working and hope. And so again, if you want to do another session like this sometime, let's jump on a call and do it.
Sounds good to me. Awesome. So thank you everybody for attending, and yeah, Riley, if you want to stick around for a couple of minutes after this, I got to chat with you about some other stuff I need from you.
Okay.